The last breath of hope. The wind howled across the barren surface of Kethvar, like the dying breath of a forgotten god. Ice crystals, sharp as razors, cut through the thin atmosphere, creating a symphony of destruction that had played without pause for 17 standard cycles. In the ruins of what had once been Mining Outpost 7, Zara Veltheri pulled her daughter closer to her chest, feeling the child's heartbeat grow weaker with each passing moment. Zara's crystalline blue skin, once vibrant like the summer seas of her lost homeworld, had faded to the pale shade of winter frost. The traditional heat-sharing membranes along her arms had long since retracted, unable to generate warmth in this frozen wasteland. Her people, the Ketheri, were children of warm ocean worlds, never meant to endure the brutal cold of this desolate moon. Leela stirred in her arms, her small voice barely a whisper against the storm. "Mama, I'm cold." The 4-year-old's words came out in small puffs of vapor, her breath visible in the sub-zero air that filled their makeshift shelter. Zara's heart broke a little more. She had nothing left to give her daughter. No warmth, no food, no hope. The emergency shelter they huddled in was built from salvaged ship parts and mining equipment, a desperate construction project that had taken the last of their colony's strength. Around them lay the frozen remains of their settlement, where 43 Ketheri refugees had tried to build a new life after their exodus from their dying homeworld. Now only she and Leela remained alive. Their homeworld of Kethos had been caught in a solar flare event that stripped away their planet's protective magnetic field. The Council had ordered an immediate evacuation, but their refugee ships were old, overcrowded, and barely spaceworthy. When their vessel had suffered critical engine failure, Captain Thelvar had made an emergency landing on this remote mining moon, hoping to find shelter until rescue could arrive. Rescue never came. The first winter had been hard but survivable. They had the mining facility's geothermal generators and enough preserved food to last several months. But when the generators failed during the second winter and their distress calls went unanswered, hope began to die. One by one, her people succumbed to the cold, starvation, or simple despair. Families huddled together until the cold claimed them all. Zara reached with trembling fingers for the last functioning piece of technology in their shelter, an ancient emergency beacon that Thelvar had salvaged from their crashed ship. Its power cell showed barely a flicker of energy remaining. She knew this would be their final chance to send a message into the void, a last desperate plea that would likely never be heard. With fingers so numb she could barely feel them, Zara activated the beacon and spoke into it, her voice cracking with emotion. "This is Zora Veltheri of the Ketheri refugee ship Threshold of Stars. We are the last survivors of Mining Outpost 7 on Kethvar. If anyone receives this message, please know that we try to live. We tried to build something beautiful here, even in this cold place. If there are others of my people still alive in the galaxy, tell them that we remembered home until the very end." She paused, looking down at Leela's peaceful face. "I have a daughter. Her name is Leela, and she loves to sing the old songs of our people. She deserves to see warm oceans and feel sunlight on her skin. If anyone finds us, please be kind to her. Please remember that we were here." The beacon's light flickered and died. Their last connection to the universe had been severed. Zora pulled Leela closer, wrapping the child in the tattered remains of their thermal blankets. She began to hum one of the traditional Ketheri lullabies, the same one her mother had sung to her beneath the twin moons of Kethos. Outside, the storm raged on, indifferent to their suffering. Zora closed her eyes and felt the cold creeping deeper into her body. She had fought so hard for so long, but she could feel her strength finally giving way. As she drifted toward unconsciousness, she whispered a prayer to the Ocean Mother, asking that their souls would find their way back to the warm seas of home. 3 sectors away, Captain Sarah Martinez sat in the command chair of the deep space exploration vessel Meridian, reviewing mineral survey reports with the same meticulous attention to detail that had made her one of Earth's most respected explorers. At 38, Sarah had spent more time in the black void between stars than most people spent in their childhood homes. Her weathered hands moved efficiently across the holographic displays, marking potential mining sites and resource deposits. The Meridian was on a routine survey mission in the Outer Rim territories, cataloging mineral wealth and establishing waypoints for future colonization efforts. It was the kind of methodical, unglamorous work that kept human civilization expanding outward into the galaxy. Sarah's crew of 12 specialists had been together for 3 years, long enough to function like a well-oiled machine. "Captain," called out Lieutenant Torres from the communication station, "I'm picking up something strange on the emergency frequencies. It's very faint, and the signal is heavily degraded." Sarah swiveled her chair toward the communications console. Emergency signals were rare in this sector, which was officially classified as uninhabited. "Let me hear it." The bridge speakers crackled with static, and then a voice emerged from the noise. It was alien, speaking in a language none of them recognized, but the universal translation algorithms slowly began to parse the meaning. Sarah listened in growing amazement as the desperate message played out, a mother's final words for her child. "Jesus," whispered Dr. James Chen, the ship's medical officer who had been running diagnostics nearby. "That's a death message. Someone's dying out there." Sarah was already moving toward the navigation station. "Torres, can you triangulate the source?" "Working on it, Captain." The signal came from Kethvar, about 6 hours at maximum burn. It's listed as an abandoned mining facility. Dr. Chen pulled up the system data on his tablet. "Kethvar is a frozen rock, Captain. Surface temperature is -40 Celsius on a good day. Nothing should be able to survive there for long." Sarah studied the data, her mind racing through the implications. Officially, they were supposed to report any alien contact to Earth Command and await instructions. The bureaucratic process could take weeks or months, and by then, whoever had sent that message would certainly be dead. "Ma'am," Torres said quietly. The message mentioned a child. That decided it for Sarah. She had joined the Exploration Service to push the boundaries of human knowledge and to help wherever help was needed. Sometimes that meant making decisions that went beyond official protocols. "Set course for Kethvar. Maximum burn," she ordered. "Torres, send a message to Earth Command informing them of the situation. Chen, prepare the medical bay for alien physiologies. I want portable heaters, emergency oxygen, and anything else you think might help." Engineer Martinez, no relation, despite the shared name, looked up from his console with concern. "Captain, the regulations about first contact. The regulations assume we'd have time to follow them." Sarah cut him off. That message was a mother saying goodbye to her child. "I won't let bureaucracy be the reason a family dies in the cold." The Meridian's powerful engines roared to life, pushing the ship toward Kethvar at velocities that made the hull groan with stress. Sarah stood at the observation deck, watching the stars streak past, and wondered what they would find when they arrived. The voice in that transmission had carried such profound sadness, but also a dignity that transcended species. Whatever these aliens were, they had the same capacity for love and loss that defined humanity at its best. 6 hours later, the Meridian dropped out of hyperspace near Kethvar. The moon hung in space like a ball of dirty ice, its surface scarred by mining operations and battered by countless meteorite impacts. Sarah led a small away team down to the surface in the ship's heavy-duty shuttle, equipped with portable heaters and emergency medical equipment. The mining facility was a graveyard of twisted metal and shattered hopes. Frozen corpses of blue-skinned humanoids lay scattered throughout the complex, preserved by the brutal cold. Sarah's team followed life sign readings to a small shelter built from salvaged materials, where their sensors detected 2 faint heat signatures. Inside, they found them. The alien mother had wrapped herself around her child like a living shield, both of them unconscious but still barely alive. Sarah knelt beside them, amazed by the profound love evident in the mother's protective posture. Even in death's approach, she had given everything to keep her daughter warm. "Get the portable heaters running now," Sarah ordered. "Chen, what do you need?" Dr. Chen was already scanning them with his medical tricorder, his face grave. Their core body temperature is critically low, but they're still alive. I need to get them to the medical bay immediately. Their physiology is unlike anything in our databases, but the basics seem similar enough to human biology that I can work with it. As the away team carefully lifted the unconscious aliens, Sarah noticed something remarkable. Despite their desperate situation, the mother's arms remained wrapped protectively around her child, even in unconsciousness. It was a gesture of love that needed no translation, no cultural context to understand. The shuttle ride back to the Meridian was tense, with Dr. Chen monitoring vital signs while Sarah coordinated with the medical team. As they docked with the ship, Sarah made a silent promise to the unconscious mother. Whatever it took, however long it took, she would not let this family die on her watch. The warmth of humanity. The medical bay of the Meridian had been transformed into an intensive care unit designed for unknown alien physiologies. Dr. James Chen had worked through the night, using every piece of medical knowledge and technology at his disposal to keep Zara and Layla stable. The portable heaters had been supplemented by thermal blankets that gradually raised their body temperature, while sophisticated monitors tracked their vital signs. Zara was the first to wake, her large, opalescent eyes opening slowly as consciousness returned. The first thing she saw was a strange, pink-skinned face leaning over her with obvious concern. For a moment, panic flooded through her as she tried to understand where she was and who these creatures were. Then she heard it, the soft sound of her daughter breathing beside her. "Leela," she whispered, her voice hoarse from the cold that had nearly claimed them both. She tried to sit up, but gentle hands pressed her back down. "Easy there," Dr. Chen said softly, activating the universal translator that had been working overtime to decode Ketheri language patterns. "You're safe now. You're both safe." Zara's eyes widened as the alien words transformed into meaning she could understand. She looked around the medical bay, taking in the advanced technology and the careful attention being paid to both her and her daughter. "Who are you? Where are we?" "I'm Dr. Chen, and you're aboard a human exploration vessel called the Meridian," he explained, checking her vital signs on his scanner. "We received your distress message and came to help." The words hit Zora like a physical blow. Someone had heard her final message. Someone had cared enough to come. Tears began to flow down her crystalline cheeks, and she reached out instinctively toward this alien doctor who had somehow brought them back from the edge of death. Dr. Chen gently took her hand, noting how her skin felt different from human skin, cooler with a slightly crystalline texture, but unmistakably alive. "You've been unconscious for 18 hours. Your body temperature had dropped to dangerous levels, but you're both recovering well." At that moment, Captain Sarah Martinez entered the medical bay. She had spent the last day learning everything she could about the messages they had intercepted, working with the ship's linguists to understand more about Ketheri culture and language. When she saw Zara awake, she felt a profound sense of relief. "I'm Captain Martinez," Sarah said, approaching slowly so as not to alarm the recovering alien. "I was the one who made the decision to come find you." Zara studied this human captain with growing amazement. The alien female carried herself with authority, but also with unmistakable compassion. "You came for us. But why? We are strangers to you." Sarah pulled up a chair beside the medical bed, her expression earnest. "Because you're a mother protecting her child. That doesn't need translation." Those words broke something open in Zara's heart. She had spent so long believing that her people were alone in the universe, that no one would care about their suffering or remember their existence. Now here were these humans, strangers from a completely different world, who had risked their mission and perhaps their safety to save her and Layla. Over the next few days, as both Ketheri recovered their strength, an extraordinary exchange began. Sarah and her crew learned about the Ketheri people, their ocean homeworlds, their peaceful nature, their profound connection to family and community. The Ketheri were natural empaths, able to sense emotions in others, which made them excellent healers and counselors, but also vulnerable to the suffering around them. Zara shared the story of their exodus from Kethos, the failed rescue mission, and the slow death of their small colony on Kethvar. She spoke of friends who had died in her arms, of hope slowly fading as one emergency after another depleted their resources. But she also told them about the beauty her people had tried to create even in that harsh environment. Gardens grown in heated shelters, children's laughter echoing through metal corridors, art carved from ice and stone. Leela, meanwhile, had formed an immediate bond with the humans. Children, it seemed, had no trouble crossing species barriers. She delighted in learning human words and teaching them Ketheri songs. Her favorite person was Engineer Martinez, who had rigged up a small holographic projector that could display images of Earth's oceans. Lila would spend hours watching recordings of waves and dolphins, her eyes wide with wonder. "Your oceans are so warm," she told Sarah one day, her small voice filled with longing. "Mama says our home had oceans like that." Sarah knelt down to the child's level, her heart aching for this little girl who had seen so much loss. "Would you like to see real oceans like that someday?" Leela nodded eagerly, then grew serious. "Mama says we can't go home anymore. The angry star hurt our world." That conversation prompted Sarah to make some inquiries with Earth Command. What she learned changed everything. There were other Ketheri refugee groups scattered across the galaxy, many of whom had successfully established new colonies on human-friendly worlds. There was even a thriving Ketheri community on New Geneva, a water world that had been terraformed specifically to accommodate aquatic species. When Sarah shared this information with Zara, the adult Ketheri's emotional response was overwhelming. Her empathic abilities meant she felt not just her own joy, but the echoes of happiness from Sarah and the entire crew. For the first time since leaving Kethos, Zara felt genuine hope for the future. The journey to New Geneva took 3 weeks, during which the Meridian became a bridge between two species. Dr. Chen worked with Zara to establish medical protocols for Ketheri physiology that would benefit future human-Ketheri interactions. The linguistics team, with Zara's help, created the first comprehensive Ketheri human translation matrices. Most importantly, friendships formed that transcended species boundaries. Sarah found herself particularly drawn to Zara's quiet wisdom and strength. Despite everything she had endured, the Ketheri mother maintained a profound faith in the goodness of life and the possibility of new beginnings. Her empathic abilities allowed her to sense the loneliness that Sarah sometimes felt as a deep space explorer, always moving between worlds but never truly belonging to any one place. "You carry the sadness of distance," Zora told her one evening as they sat in the observation lounge, watching stars string past. "But also the joy of discovery. It is a beautiful combination." Sarah smiled, feeling understood in a way that was both alien and deeply familiar. "What will you do when we reach New Geneva?" "We will learn to live again," Zara replied simply. "We will teach Leela about warm oceans and safe shores. And we will remember the humans who saved us when we had lost all hope." When the Meridian finally arrived at New Geneva, they were met by a delegation of Ketheri refugees who had been contacted by Earth Command. The reunion was extraordinary, dozens of blue-skinned humanoids gathering at the spaceport, their empathic abilities creating a collective wave of joy and relief that was palpable even to the humans present. Zara and Leela were welcomed into a community that had been rebuilt from loss, but strengthened by survival. They were given a home near the ocean, where Leela could play in warm surf, and Zara could heal from the trauma of their ordeal. But they never forgot the humans who had given them this second chance. Sarah stayed for the settlement ceremony, watching as Zara and Leela waded into New Geneva's warm ocean for the first time. The sight of mother and daughter playing in the surf, alive and happy and safe, made every regulation she had bent and every risk she had taken worthwhile. Years later, when Sarah's exploration career eventually brought her back to New Geneva, she found a thriving mixed community where humans and Ketheri worked together in ways that benefited both species. Ketheri empathic healing had revolutionized human psychological treatment, while human engineering had helped the Ketheri build sustainable cities that worked in harmony with ocean ecosystems. Leela, now a teenager, had become something of a bridge between the two species, equally comfortable with human technology and Ketheri spiritual practices. She greeted Sarah like family, speaking fluent English mixed with the melodic tones of her native language. "Captain Martinez," she called out, running across the beach with the kind of uninhibited joy that only the young possess. "Look, I learned to surf." But it was her reunion with Zara that moved Sarah most deeply. The Ketheri mother had established herself as a cultural liaison, helping newly arrived refugees adapt to life on New Geneva, while also sharing Ketheri wisdom with human colonists. She had found purpose in helping others navigate the kind of loss and displacement she had once experienced. "You gave us more than our lives back," Zara told Sarah as they walked along the shoreline together. "You showed us that kindness exists between species, that love transcends the boundaries we think separate us." Sarah watched the mixed community of humans and Ketheri working and playing together on the beach, children of both species building sandcastles and chasing waves with equal enthusiasm. It was a future she had never imagined when she first heard that desperate message from a dying world. "No," Sarah replied, feeling the truth of her words resonate through her. "You showed me that. You showed me what it means to love so fiercely that you'll fight death itself to protect what matters most." As the twin suns of New Geneva set over the ocean, painting the sky in shades of gold and azure, Sarah understood that this was why humanity explored the stars. Not just to catalog new worlds or exploit new resources, but to find connection in the vast loneliness of space. To prove that intelligence and compassion could bridge any gap, overcome any difference, and create something beautiful from the raw materials of survival. The rescue of Zara and Leela had changed more than just two lives. It had opened a door between species that would never close again, creating a legacy of cooperation and understanding that would echo through generations. Sometimes, Sarah reflected, the most important discoveries weren't new planets or revolutionary technologies, but simply the realization that love, in all its forms, was the universal language that connected all thinking beings. In the end, that was humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy, not their advanced weapons or their superior technology, but their absolute refusal to let others suffer alone in the dark. When a mother closed her eyes to die on a frozen world, humans had chosen to warm her and her child with the simple, revolutionary act of caring about strangers. And in that choice, both species had found something infinitely more valuable than survival. They had found hope.